The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code NBSGPN to get 3% bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by EdgeBoost. Earn $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions at edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data from picks and props. Try it out for free for a week by going to sportsgambling.com, which is RATHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Friday morning, February 7th, roughly 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host of the episode, Scott Reichel, joined by Lonte Smith, and together we're going to break down the Friday card. Spoiler, not exactly the greatest Friday card. We only have 7 games on it, but we're still going to break down each game. They get into the lock and dog picks at the end and the underdog lineup. But Lonte, how's it going with you? What's up?
Good, bro. Just horrible slate. Just sad we got to get started off on the weekend with this, but ultimately, still some stuff we can get to the window with. So,
Well, it might cheer you up that the Super Bowl's also on Sunday. So the whole
not
weekend's
really.
not a complete lost cause. But I do want to ask, though, because I feel like besides Sean, really nobody on the network is actually a fan of either of these teams.
Yeah, me either.
Are you excited for the Super Bowl, or are you just going to tolerate it?
The latter. Yeah, it doesn't. Not really an exciting part. Super Bowl. I mean, I'm rooting for history, rooting for Mahomes, but like it doesn't move the needle for me.
That's
Kind of like
fair.
the Jimmy Butler trade.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I feel like for me, I'm invested because Adam and I prepared, I don't know, about 3K worth of wagers that we already have on the game. So I'm invested from, a gambling perspective, but for the actual game, yeah, not really. I feel like the game should be entertaining. I'm hoping for a close game, but I feel you can make an argument that you're not exactly a fan of either team winning. And the last time I checked, one team has to win, which kind of sucks. So either way, we'll see what happens on Sunday for the Super Bowl. But either way, just wanted your thoughts on it. But yeah, anyway, a point is the card today is not great. But we're going to briefly recap what happened yesterday on the Thursday card. Lonte, I'll ask you, because even though a decent amount of games ended up coming down to the wire, or I should say the late slate came down to the wire,
Mm-hmm.
the early slate was relatively lopsided. But then again, I mean, the Timberwolves won by 13, but they outscored Houston by 19 in the fourth quarter. So the game was close. They just kind of blew it open late. And the Mavericks game was the opposite, where the game wasn't close, and then Boston made it competitive at the end. But I'll ask you, you have any takeaways from yesterday?
I got to continue to give Chauncey Billups credit, man. Another good win. They were down in the third quarter. I think middle third quarter, kind of rallied back to
Simons was
get.
great last night.
Yeah, so I mean, got to keep giving him credit for the fight that those guys are giving. They didn't make any moves at the trade deadline, so coming into the season, I thought Chauncey might have been just on a chopping block, but I mean, might have bought himself another year if they can keep this up. I mean, they've been competitive, winning games. They got the young guys playing well, so yeah, credit to him. And I think, man, credit to the Dallas Mavericks. They almost blew it though. They took their guys out a little too soon, and then it kind of got hairy a little bit late, and they had to put Kyrie back in. But credit to them on the road. Another just lackluster performance from Boston. Yeah, speaking of blown leads, the Lakers almost blew it as well, up 20 at the half, and then they come back and Golden State cuts it to like six or five late in the third, and they kind of just pull away. But yeah, outside of that, man, I mean, not really much. Just I thought it was some entertaining late games. Clippers kind of let that one slip away from
I
Indiana.
don't know
I
about
think
kind of. They led by 20, but yeah,
yeah,
they did.
Yeah, they scored 40 in the first quarter and gave up 40 in the second quarter. So yeah, that was not good for me because I was on the Clippers. But overall, man, I thought it was a decent night.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Ant, who had another 40 piece last night.
Oh
He's
yeah, he was
finally
great.
going to the basket,
He
which
was
I
great.
appreciate.
Yep.
He's finding the nice blend of actually attempting threes and going to the basket. Thought he was settling too much earlier this season. He's attempted 33 free throws in the last 2 games, so I do like the fact he's been aggressive. He's getting to the line, and that has given him some easy points at the charity stripe. So he has 90 points in the last 2 games combined. I know him and Brooks got into it, which was always entertaining, but point is, pretty fun card in general. Props to Kyrie, who won his second game against the Celtics and stepping on lucky. So he's 2-15 in his last 17 now against the Celtics. But overall, a pretty fun pair of games. The Lakers ended up cashing my lock. I had the halftime full-time. They covered the spread in the end, but I didn't have to worry about that. I just had halftime full-time. And I had Portland on the alt spread -5.5 as my dog at +165. They won by 6. So I ended up sweeping the episode yesterday. Can't complain, but hopefully we end up sweeping again here on Friday. Anything else you want to add, or should we just move on?
No, we good. We good.
All right, cool. So before we get into the actual card for Friday, I want to remember once again that you can also join a great contest that we're having that's free to enter. We're running a free squares pool for the Super Bowl, $1,000 winner take all. For the final score square, just go to sportsgames.com/squares, sign up today. If you have no idea what that means that you'll be given a square on a board, and each square, I'd say, corresponds to the final digit of each team's score. Basically, it takes no skill whatsoever. So if you want to get entered into a chance to win a free 1K for free, then yes, you should definitely sign up for the contest. And we're also having a great opportunity because if we fill up the square pool, then we're going to have another one. So if we end up getting 200 entries, we will release another $1,000 free squares pool. So there's a chance that you could actually enter both. So keep that in mind. You have a chance to win 1K, maybe even 2K if you end up entering the squares pool. Anyway, time to get into the actual card for Friday. Starting off with the first matchup, you have the Spurs against the Hornets. Damn, this game's going to suck. Spurs are minus 10.5. Hornets are currently at home, and they might be getting LaMelo back. We'll see if he plays or not. He's questionable. The over-under is 228.5. So for the injury report for these teams, we know Houston just traded for Nurkic. Yeah, good luck with that. The Spurs, though, have basically everyone healthy besides Bassey. You're looking at Charlotte. You have LaMelo, who's questionable. You have Josh Green, who's probably going to play. Same thing with Connect, and Nurkic just got traded to Charlotte. Okogie's out. Reddish is out. So we'll see what happens here. Now, Charlotte went from Nick Richards and Mark Williams to basically having no centers. They have Diabate as their center, and that's kind of it. So now they deal with Wemby. Good luck with that. I'll ask you, though, because they were able to sneak away with a win against Atlanta. Wasn't easy. They led by 20, punted the lead, won the game late on that Wemby free throw. I'm going to ask you in this game because Charlotte's terrible. Do you trust the Spurs enough to lay 10.5 on the road?
No, I don't. I really don't. I mean, they're 2-3 straight up NATS since returning from France. 3-7 ATS the last 10. Now, something that they won't have to worry about is, well, hopefully not. They've allowed 125 plus in 4 of the last 6. Now, Charlotte's not really an offensively driven team, and they haven't been able to score, but they do cover numbers. I mean, they covered double digits in 3 of the last 5. They're closing out a 9-game home stretch. They do have 6 straight losses, but I mean, we just care about covering. Defensively, I think it's kind of a bad matchup for Charlotte, especially with no bigs and the rotating pieces that they have.
To be fair, I don't know what a good matchup is for Charlotte, but you're not wrong.
Yeah, that's fair. But so I do think that the tempo will be pushed a little bit more for San Antonio, especially with Fox in the lineup. They looked a lot more aggressive as far as getting downhill. I got Chris Paul playing a little bit off the ball. So I like the Spurs team total over, 119.5. Like I said, I think Fox gives them another dynamic as far as scoring and getting to the free throw line, opens up the lane for Victor to kind of, play the dunker spot a little bit whenever he's off the ball. And, I mean, I just don't see a way that Charlotte can be able to stop any of these guys from getting downhill, especially with no rim protection. I mean, Mark Williams wasn't really a rim protector, but he was a big body.
That's one thing Lakers fans are going to realize shortly. Mark Williams, not exactly the best defensive player in the world, but he's offensively talented.
Yeah, he's not. And I like San Antonio. I was going to look at an over here, but I don't trust Charlotte enough to score. San Antonio's over at 8 of 11 and 13 of 22 on the road, whereas the complete opposite for Charlotte. They just can't score. I mean, bottom 5 in offensive efficiency and points per game. So stayed away from the full game. I like the Spurs team total over. If I had to play the side, probably would play Charlotte if Melo's in.
I feel like we're kind of on the same page here. I'd rather take San Antonio props personally. Maybe if you want to go for Fox, especially if LaMelo plays, because he can't guard anybody. So you might see Fox torch him. I think Wemby's got a great matchup as well. The issue for Wemby, though, he was extremely tired at the end of that Hawks game. He's battling some respiratory thing. So I do wonder how healthy he actually is, but he's still at 24 in that game. I think Wemby's got a good matchup. We said before, nobody on Charlotte can actually guard him. If you want to go for Diabate rebounds, they don't really have another center. So that could be an argument, but it's not really, once again, a great game to start the card off. I think I'll go with San Antonio if I had to pick a side, but there is no chance I bet the Spurs minus 10.5 on the road. I'll probably look for Fox stuff, maybe Fox double-double. Maybe if you want to go for Wemby to have a monster game, I don't mind that too. But for actual spread purposes, I really don't want to trust San Antonio on the road laying 10.5. Moving on to the next game, you have an even worse spread. You have the Cavs minus 17.5 taking on the Wizards. Surprisingly, not the biggest spread on the entire card today. The over-under is at 235.5. For the injury report, Mitchell's expected to play after missing the last game after Garland hit that crazy game winner against Detroit. For the injury report, though, Hunter might play with the Cavs. You never know, because once again, they just acquired him. We'll see if he ends up suiting up. But you're looking at Okoro being out, Merrill being out, Dean Wade being out, basically it. For Washington, first of all, they traded away a couple key pieces. Kuzma's no longer there. They also ended up acquiring Middleton, who might play, might not play, who knows. They ended up keeping Brogdon. He's out for this game, but they did not buy him out, which I find kind of weird. They are a pretty weird team, and they got Marcus Smart. So I feel bad for Marcus Smart. But the point is he might not play either. So for the actual updated status of players, Sarr's out, Brogdon's out, Sadiq Bey is out, Middleton is a maybe, Smart's a maybe, Alex Len's a maybe. But you know what? They beat the Nets last game. They've won 3 straight. Koulibaly had a triple-double. I've been calling for him to get more actual usage, and they finally traded Kuzma, and he had a triple-double. So I feel like I was right about that one. But either way, 17.5 might be a lot of points, but it might not be because this Wizards team is awful. So I'll ask you, Wizards have won 3 straight. Do you want to lay 17.5 against them?
Yeah, I would lay it before anything, but I like another team total here. I don't think it'll be any resistance for for Washington at the rim. So Mitchell should be able to get downhill. I think those bigs. Mobley had a big game against Detroit in a bounce back spot. I think him and Jared Allen will probably feast on the inside, especially. You said Sarr's out, right?
Sarr's out. Valanciunas got traded.
Right.
They have Rashawn Holmes, and that's basically it.
Yeah, and he's undersized. So yeah, they should be able to dominate on the inside. I expect a lot of efficient stuff. I mean, they're 15-8 ATS on the road, best 3-point shooting team in the league. They've won 12 straight versus Washington. I don't see any point of like attack stopping for Washington. So I'll go team total over. I would lay it, to be honest. I would lay to 17.5. I would not be inclined to take 17.5 with Washington.
I'm trying to figure out the script that would actually pick Washington to cover it, and I guess it involves Poole having about 30 points and Koulibaly having another assist game. I don't mind Koulibaly assists, though, at 4.5. I think he'll be the de facto point guard on this team because Poole, we know, wants to shoot the entire time. So I don't mind Koulibaly assists. I feel like that's a pretty solid angle, but, I mean, the starting lineup projection of Poole, Carrington, Koulibaly, George, and Holmes, that starting lineup might win like 7 games. Like, that's an awful starting lineup, and the Cavs, we know, are stacked, and Mitchell should be returning. So, I guess Cleveland, but once again, I don't know if I want to lay 17.5 on the road in the NBA. So, kind of a tough spot there, but Washington's team, they fully embraced the tank over the deadline. And Valanciunas is actually a pretty big piece for this matchup because Cleveland has so much size. They don't have that anymore. So, Cleveland might dominate the boards entirely, but I'll go with Cleveland as well. I'm probably not going to bet it. I might consider Cleveland team total over in this game. They might score 140. That wouldn't shock me either. But I'll go with Cleveland in this one, I guess. We'll do one more before going to a break. So look at the next game. You have the Bucks taking on the Hawks. Bucks are laying 5.5 on the road here. Giannis might play, might not play. I'm assuming not, though. Missed the last game. Questionable for this one. Dame's probable. Lopez is probable. But you're looking at a couple of other names. Kuzma might play, might not play. We'll see. Besides that, though, you have Kevin Porter, who might play, might not play. We'll see. Besides that, for Atlanta, we know DeAndre Hunter just got traded. Trae Young might play, might not play. I think he's probable for this game. Capella's out. Highland, who they just traded for, is out as well. LeVert, maybe. Terrence Mann, maybe. Niang, maybe as well. So a lot of the guys who just got traded, you don't know if they're actually going to play in this game or not, but also, separate note, Terrence Mann was being dangled in trades for about 5 years, and he went for basically nothing. Wasn't he offered for like multiple first-round picks like 4 years ago?
Yeah, this is when he had that
Utah series
run. Remember he took over that Jazz game whenever they were down.
It was a series. He had 40 points in a closeout game.
Yeah,
they really held on to him for way too long because they could have sold high for multiple picks. But anyway, point is, Atlanta did lose Hunter. They have basically 1.5 centers now because you have Capella who's out. I'll ask you because does Giannis being out matter to you? Because Milwaukee might win this game anyway. Atlanta is indirectly tanking without their own draft pick, which is kind of bizarre, but they also traded Bogdanovich, who has been really bad this year, but still a bench player nonetheless. What do you think? Because I don't know if I want to go anywhere near Atlanta right now.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I think Milwaukee's I actually think Giannis is going to play. I was reading about him. So he missed the last 2 games. He actually went through warm-ups, was in the starting lineup, and then like got pulled off the court before like the tip. And Doc was like,
it's a calf issue though, so you never actually know. But the fact is, they were able to win that last game, so I am wondering if that does buy Giannis some extra time potentially.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Yeah, but I think I don't think it's any rush to bring him back. But I think they want to just at least get him to see how effective he is. So maybe he comes out, plays on a little minutes restriction.
Yeah.
But they did split a 2-game set in December. If you remember the Cup game, Milwaukee won, and then the other one, the Hawks went into Milwaukee and won.
I had the Bucks to win the Cup, so I definitely remember.
Yeah.
That
so
match.
like Milwaukee, I mean, they failed to cover in 5 straight. They're 1-4 straight up in that span. I mean, some of those are with and without guys in the lineup. But I mean, Atlanta, they lost 9 of 10, but they've covered 4 or 5, so that's all we care about, really. They're 10-13 ATS at home. They can't defend the 3. The Bucks should be able to shoot some threes with Prince, Dame, and a lot of those guys.
To be fair, they can't defend anything, but especially the 3.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I'm going with Milwaukee here. If Giannis plays or not, I think it's a good spot for them. I also like the over. Atlanta's allowed 130 plus in 3 of the last 4, 125 plus in 4 straight. They're over team at home. 16 of the 23 have gone over at home. They're 31-20 overall at home. Milwaukee is over in 6 of 10. They're just a 1 game over on the road, but I just think that prior meetings are dictating the number here. I think it closed 233 and 237. One of those obviously was on a neutral court. 2 different teams from then to now. I think Atlanta's got gradually worse. I think you would agree with that, especially defensively. I think Milwaukee should be able to score 120 here. I don't think Atlanta still has any trouble scoring. I just don't think they're a good team to be competing within the point spread. So Milwaukee and over for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think the total was at 240.5 last night. Now it's at 242.5. Bobby Portis was great without Giannis. I think he had a massive double-double. I don't remember how many points he had, but he had a bunch of rebounds. Atlanta is a horrible team. Like, I lost all faith in this team once Jalen Johnson got hurt. I've made arguments, maybe a hot take or not. I think Jalen Johnson's the best player on this team, which you could argue is a hot take, but I think Jalen Johnson is a really good basketball player, and I think that Trey has a lot of empty stat tendencies. I'll put it that way, where he has a lot of really bad shot selection. He turns the ball over a ton. The assists are great. I get it, and I understand that occasionally he can have monster scoring games going to the line a ton, but I don't know if you agree with me or not. I think Jalen Johnson is the key to this entire team, and with him being out, they got serious problems. You agree with that, or is that harsh?
I disagree, but I'm more of a Trey truther than most, so okay. I think
Jalen Johnson's really, really good, and it seems like Atlanta, you never know about the rumors of trades that never happen, but they could be just made up from these, social media accounts trying to gain some clout. But it does seem like Trey's time in Atlanta might be coming to an end shortly.
Yeah, maybe.
They might want to choose to rebuild with Jalen Johnson. That's all I'm saying. But
yeah, I think he's significant. I think if the roles were reversed, like Jalen Johnson would not be as effective without Trey. I think Trey is Trey with or
See, it's tough, though, because there were a couple games where Trey missed, and Jalen had like a triple-double against Boston earlier this year. Like, that's some moments without Trey.
Yeah, just small sample size, though.
Yeah,
but
very small sample.
Yeah, and a bigger sample size, I think that Jalen's really good, obviously. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I just think the body of work that Trey's put together and
I get it. He's had a couple of big moments. He's won a couple playoff series before. Like, I understand all that. It's just I don't really know. I just feel like Trey's a guy I've always been lower on.
And a lot of people don't like Trey.
People argue that he should be an all-star and stuff like that. I think his efficiency is too bad to be an all-star. That's why I was against LaMelo being an all-star. The coaches agree with me, so that counts for something. But I don't know. I feel like Atlanta, they can't stop anybody, especially Trey. We know that he's a really bad defensive player. See people mentioning Dame assists. I like that. That was my YouTube play at 7.5. I think it's a good number. If Giannis does not play, he's had 12 assists in 3 straight without Giannis, but he's also had at least 8 assists in 5 of 7. Atlanta's allowing the 3rd most assists per game in the league. They've allowed 125 in 4 straight, minimum 125. They can't stop anybody. I don't mind Dame having a big game. His double-double's plus 220, or his 10 assists is 220. I think that's a great price for Dame. So I don't mind that as a potential plus money play. Maybe I'll revisit that later in the show. I see Thomas mentioning he likes Jaden Daniels. I'm a big fan of Great Barrier Thief. I think he's a solid player as well. He needs to work on the jump shot. Yep. The 3 ball is not the greatest, but he does a lot of, I'd say, small things well to help teams play winning basketball. but the jump shot needs a little bit of work. I feel like that's kind of my main critique there for Daniels. But he's very good, and he's very young. I think he'll be good for a while. Anyway, before we get into the rest of the slate, do I want to remind you once again that we are brought to you by DraftKings because the Super Bowl is upon us. And a reminder that you can get on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. Scoring touchdowns is key to hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. You can also win money betting on touchdowns. On DraftKings, the number one place to bet on touchdowns. And new customers also have a great deal. Bet $5, you get $200 bonuses instantly. Reminder though, when you do download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code SGP. Code SGP for new customers to get $200 bonuses instantly when you bet just $5 on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
We're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner Rhythm can help you with your betting models. If you want to actually try your betting models or you want to, once again, try to get a little bit deeper with them, you can use Rhythm for that because you can copy one from the leaderboard, you can build your own model, or let Rhythm build one for you. They also have a bunch of picks and props of the NFL. They have college basketball and NBA picks as well, all AI generated. So if you do want some advanced data, I recommend going to Rhythm for models, but you could also try it out for free for a week by using the link sportskings.com/Rhythm, sportskings.com/RITHMM. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Just finished previewing the first couple games on the Friday card. Time to move on into the next game. So starting off, once again, we just went with the Bucks game. Time to move on to the Heat against the Nets. Another road favorite, a common theme on the card. Heat are laying 6.5. The Nets are in the middle of a decent run as they were able to beat the Rockets. Did lose to the Wizards last game, so they're not exactly the best showing, but still the over-under is at 210.5. Now, for the injury report, you have a couple guys who just got traded to Miami, so we'll see if Wiggins plays. We'll see if Davion Mitchell plays. I like the fit, by the way, with Mitchell. I think he fits Heat culture quite well. Before the injury reports here, you have Wiggins who's questionable, Mitchell's questionable, Anderson is questionable. They also just got him from Golden State. Kevin Love is probable, Jovic is probable, Highsmith's probable. For the Nets, though, Cam Johnson's still here. D'Angelo Russell still here. They really did nothing at the deadline. But Bogdanovich is still out. Clowney's still out. Cam Thomas still out. So, Lonte, I'll ask you, first glance, I like the under. I see a low-scoring game. Most Nets games have been pretty ugly lately. But defensively, they've been pretty good. Offensively, they're a mess most of the time. And the first two meetings were pretty low-scoring. So I like the under in this game. I think 210.5 is too low. I mean, too high. Give me the under.
Yeah, I love the under. So I'm with you there. Last four meetings have gone under. Two of those were this year. In those two games, one team has failed to get to 100 in each of those. That includes Brooklyn being that team not getting to 100 in those last two. Brooklyn's under an 8 of 10, 14 of 24 at home. Miami, while their profile would say that they're an over team, if you just, dig a little bit deeper.
Besides the Chicago game, they've been a really good under team.
Yeah, so and added to that, on the road, they're a really good under team because 15 of the 27 have gone under on the road, but at home, 7 of their 22 have gone under. So that's a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of noise in the numbers there as far as overall totality. Mm-hmm. I think both of these teams just want to slow it down.
It's going to be such an ugly game of basketball.
Yeah, I like Brooklyn to cover the number. I mean, they covered 3 of the last 5. They're decent as a dog, 24-20-1 as a dog. Miami, not really good as a favorite, 11-16 ATS on the road, 12-16 as a favorite. So I think, Brooklyn's got some guys that, I like the way Keon Johnson's been playing. I obviously like Cam Johnson. I don't know what's the deal with the other Cam. Like, is he done or?
Cam Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas.
I'll check what his updated status is. He's out through the All-Star break.
Okay. Yeah.
But it seems like he's injured. In theory, he could come back. It depends if the Nets really want to bring him back. But it seems like they're easing him along in his recovery, which is definitely the smart move at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like some of the things that Brooklyn has done, especially as a big underdog. We saw them come back and have that crazy win. That kind of cost me against the Rockets. But
what a choke job.
Yeah. So, but
Udoka probably should have used that timeout instead of inbounding it under his own basket.
Yeah,
but either way.
Yeah. But I like Brooklyn. I like the under. Interesting to see that Brooklyn's reports about them buying out Ben Simmons. So that's another thing to watch as well. But
I can't believe teams were interested. Like, teams. I heard the Cavs were linked to Ben Simmons. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, man. Somebody's gonna take him, man. Somebody's gonna take him.
Somebody's going to take him because you can put him as your 12th man and then just bring him in on occasion. But I'm also not sure if he's one of the worst teammates imaginable because he'll just actively sit out games. But I guess if you're getting healthy scratched anyway, then it doesn't matter. But yeah, Ben Simmons should get bought out at some point. Are you surprised that the Nets didn't trade Cam Johnson? I thought one team would take a shot at it for a potential title contender. I guess Cleveland was an argument, but they got Hunter instead. So they didn't really
I thought Memphis should have went and got him.
I thought Memphis should have done something.
Yeah, I mean, they should have went.
I do have to apologize on the podcast, though, because I thought that Durant was going to get traded. I was pretty confident about that, and he proceeded to just stay in Phoenix. There were rumors that Minnesota had a last-second deal in place for KD, or they tried to, but they ran out of time. I thought Memphis was going to have a shot at going for KD. So I was wrong about that, but I thought Cam Johnson wouldn't be here post-deadline, and he still is. So we'll see what happens. But maybe the Nets realize you can get more during the offseason once teams are I say every team has some hope.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe you can get something.
Yeah,
but I think Cam Johnson will be traded at some point.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, it depends on what pick they get.
Correct.
Because if they can get flagged, then I would keep Cam.
I mean, you could also make the argument, though, of like what your overall goal is with the current franchise. I'm not going to go into a full Nets rant here discussion, but I feel like the Nets, if they end up getting flag, or if they end up getting any of there's supposed to be a couple of really good prospects.
Yeah, flag, Ace, and Dillon.
Yeah.
Top three. Yeah.
So, I mean, you could also throw in Harper if you want to for Rutgers. You have the BYU guy, Igor, who I think is pretty good too. You have the Illinois guy, whose name's escaping me.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yakachonis.
Yes, that guy. So really the point is there are a lot of good prospects in this year's draft. So even if you don't get flagged, you can potentially get yourself another solid player. But if the Nets end up getting flagged, let's assume best case scenario, then you can make an argument, though, you're not going to really still be that competitive in the East against the Celtics and the Cavs. Maybe you want to try to get a couple extra first-round picks. I don't know. But the point is you have extra flexibility. So we'll see what happens there. But I think at the end of the day, the Nets are definitely alive to win this game with Johnson playing and with D'Angelo Russell playing. I know he was really bad against Houston, but he had the game-winning 3, so suddenly everything's forgiven in that game.
Yeah.
I'll go with the under, though. Give me a rock fight between these two teams.
Yeah,
moving on to the next game, you have the Sixers against the Pistons. For this one, Sixers are laying 4.5. Pistons are the home dog here. The over-under is at 226.5. For the injury report, Yabusele's questionable. Drummond is doubtful. Grimes should make his actual debut with the Sixers in this game. For the, by the way, Embiid's going to play and Paul George is not recording a podcast. He will be playing in this game. For the Pistons, Cade is questionable. Well, that's why the line moved a lot. Tobias Harris is probable in this game. Schroeder, who was on 4 different teams in the span of 24 hours, ended up on Detroit. And you have Jaden Ivey, who's still out for the year. So for this matchup, based on the line movement going from 2.5 to 4.5, are we assuming Cade's not going to play?
I think yes, and a mixture of that and the big three for, well, I guess you can quote unquote call them a big three for Philly, being like all playing. So yeah, I think Philly's going to be the right side. I think that number is, I think that number might be short, especially with Cade being nicked up. If he's anywhere close to not being 100%, I think Philly is going to be the right side. I mean, they're Embiid, George, and Maxey's played in 10 games together so far. They're 7-3 straight up when they do. Maxey's averaging 30 against Detroit this year. I think that if Cade is out or even a little bit hobbled, I think Philly takes care of business here, to be honest.
Yeah, I see Adam saying that Cade was a shoot-around, so the line has already dropped to 3.5 in some spots, so I can't adjust that, but I still see some books with 4.5. The thing is, you never know about shoot-around. It's usually a good indicator, but you mentioned earlier that Giannis was expected to play last game.
He was actually on the court.
And they decided to just not
they took him to the locker room.
So, once again, we'll see if Cade ends up playing or not, but the Paul George, I'd say, active status means nothing to me because I think Paul George has been terrible so far this season. Embiid had a triple-double last game. I'm still annoyed, though, because I had the Sixers to cover in that game, and they won but didn't cover, which was pretty annoying. But Maxey's been unbelievable. Embiid had a triple-double last game. I don't know what Detroit's plan is. Embiid has owned the Pistons over the years. Like, Duran can't guard him. Isaiah Stewart might punch him in the face, but then he can't guard him, so I don't really know what they're going to do. I think for this game, I'm just going to go with the over. Give me a high-scoring game. I think Cade might end up playing, but Philly defensively has not been great. They got torched by Dallas defensively. And maybe that it aged better because Dallas did look great offensively against the Celtics yesterday. But still, I think that Philly can score a lot of points. I think they can be questionable defensively. Maybe get a Cade and Maxey, battle, like a 1-on-1 battle where each go for like 35. That could happen too. I'll go with the over, though, in this game. I think Philly's got a chance to cover, but for the sake of the value, if Cade does play, I'll go with the Pistons. I just think that I don't exactly trust Philly enough to lay points on the road from what I've seen so far. They have not played many road games from what I can remember with all three of them active. Give me Detroit, though, in this game. I think that if Cade plays, that's enough to sway it for me, but I'll go with the over. I think this total's too low. Moving on to the next game. This is the biggest spread on the card. You have the Raptors taking on the Thunder. Thunder laying 19.5 at home. In other words, why is Toronto even here? The over-under set at 231.5. For the injury report, though, Toronto had a couple trades. You could argue that the trades didn't make any sense, but they got Brandon Ingram, who's not going to play. At least he's a game-time decision, so we'll see. I doubt it. He hasn't played since December 7th, so I don't know what his status is going to be, but I'm assuming he's not going to play in this one. He actually just got ruled out a couple minutes ago. Barrett's out as well. You have Pirtle, who's out. And PJ Tucker ended up in Toronto again. So you might have forgotten that he actually ended up in Toronto because he got moved also a ton. But he's in Toronto. Quickly, those back. You have Barnes, but you have Dick, Walters, and Mogbo in the lineup. So a couple of bench players getting promoted. For the Thunder, you have basically everybody besides Mitchell, who actually got a contract extension yesterday. Cason Wallace is out. That's basically it. And the big news in the game, Chet is officially back in the starting lineup. So the Thunder are at full strength for the most part for this game. It's why they're laying 19.5. However, I have to point out, pretty important game against the Grizzlies tomorrow on the road. So you can argue that the Thunder have a look-ahead spot against a top 5 team in the Western Conference. Chet might be rusty as well. Toronto got killed by Memphis at home last game. I'll ask you, though. I'm taking Toronto. I don't care how bad you are. You have a back-to-back against an actual playoff team worth a damn the day after. I'm not laying 19.5. I think OKC wins and they mess around a little bit. Give me OKC by 10 to 15.
Man, I'm leaning.
That Grizzlies game's important to me.
Yeah,
I think they're looking ahead.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, they got so much depth, and with those, I mean, listen, I can't see it with Toronto. I mean, they've been good.
OKC should kill this team. I just think that it's a bad scheduling spot with a pretty good opponent on deck.
Yeah, I mean, I used to think that about OKC, and then I mean, they
kill teams anyway.
Yeah, they're just so good. I mean, they've won each of the last 3 by 20-plus points. I think the average margin of victory was like 34.
And that first half against the Suns, I think they were trailing and they outscored them like 22-2 to start the third quarter.
Yeah, they're burying teams, man. 129-92 in OKC. They were laying 10.5 against Toronto. I mean, I would look at a team total over if you don't want to lay that big of a number for OKC. Toronto's allowed 120-plus in 3 of the last 4.
I can't imagine Chet and Hartenstein defensively, though, in the middle. That's just going to be terrifying. But
right. Yeah, so
I get it. It's just, I don't know. I don't like the scheduling spot for OKC.
Yeah, and if you look at their offense, I mean, early on when they were still rolling, their offense wasn't like catching up to their defense. Like their defense was basically a catalyst for their offense. But now they've been just elite offensively the last month or so. They scored 140-plus in 2 of the last 3, 120-plus in 9 of the last 14, and averaging 125 in the last 10 at home.
I forgot. Shea's had, 3 separate 50-point games in the last 7 games?
Right. Yeah, he could have had 70 if you asked him.
Yeah, he definitely could have, but I want to just confirm that. Yeah, he's had 3 50-point games in the last 7 games, which is absolutely insane. But anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't want to – I'm laying a number, and I'm taking the OKC team.
I'm just not going to bet this game, but I feel like you can make an argument for Toronto. I saw somebody mentioning earlier, since it's the NBA, if they're – usually get one of these massive dogs that have a random shot to win the game. I'm not saying Toronto's going to win this game, but 19.5 is a lot of points in the NBA. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it is. It is, but
it might not be enough in this case.
Yeah,
but I think it might
is. Be. So, I think they might win by like 25, 30.
They could, but I'm just hoping OKC potentially no-shows a quarter, and then you end up getting the backdoor cover or maybe a decent start for Toronto.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, Toronto's good at covering numbers. They're one of the best ATS teams in the league, especially on the road as well. So
yeah, I know on the road, which is kind of ironic because they're 4-19 straight up on the road. But they are randomly good ATS, so that counts for something. But once again, 19.5's a lot of points, but it's up to you if you want to actually bet it. But anyway, the last game on the card, another big number. a team I have no interest in laying 8.5 with as a spoiler for my actual pick. The Jazz are playing the Suns in Phoenix. For the actual injury report, Ryan Dunn is supposed to play, so he's back from injury. Durant's a maybe, who was held out of the Thunder game because they were trying to trade him. Then Durant said, I really don't want to go to Golden State again, mainly because Draymond's there. And he's like, you know what? I'm good. So the Suns said, well, damn it. I guess we have to keep you. So Durant's still there. Booker's still there. You're looking at Richards, who's healthy. Beal's questionable. We'll see what happens. As for Utah, you never know when they last second bench some guys, but it seems like they're mostly healthy. Now, Sexton is out. Clarkson's out. I can't believe Clarkson's still there, by the way. I can't believe he hasn't been traded yet. But you're looking at George, Collier, Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler, all right now projected for the starting lineup. I'm going to go with Utah in this game. Durant might not play. According to all reports, the locker room is toxic for the Suns. I can't believe it. Another Durant team has having locker room issues. I can't believe it. But anyway, point is the Suns really have nothing going for them. They got killed by about 90 in the second half against the Thunder last game. Utah's been feisty. Came back from 11 down to the last 3 minutes against Golden State last game. Utah, when Markkanen plays, has been pretty decent. And Collins is healthy again. He's been good. Kessler's been good in general. I actually don't mind this Utah team when they don't actively bench guys for tanking purposes. Their roster's not totally awful. Fun fact, by the way, they've played 2 times this season, or 3 times. I'm trying to remember. The Suns have, I think it's 3. The Suns have won each game by exactly 8 points.
Yep.
Which I find kind of weird. So give me Utah plus 8.5. I don't want anything to do with the Suns team right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I wanted to back the Suns, but I don't like the reports that are coming out.
No, it's all bad.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's gonna just all go away, and everything. They're good. Beal was talking about how they can move forward now. The trade deadline's behind them, and they might just be relieved. And
tell you what, I'm gonna give Beal props because he's drastically overpaid, and I understand that trade set the franchise back a couple years. But Beal's actually been good. The last month, and he actually has been trying to play defense.
Yeah, yes.
So I'll give him props for buying in because he was coming off the bench, and you were wondering if that was going to blow up the locker room. Apparently, it blew up for different reasons. But Beal has actually done his part. I'll give him props. Yeah,
for sure. Phoenix actually won 9 in a row versus Utah. So the thing is, they got to be able to turn Utah over, which shouldn't be hard. They're 30th in turnovers per game. So I think Phoenix could. The spot says Phoenix. But I just
does the spot say because they got blown out by OKC on TV?
That and I think the trade deadline being done is like I think that's a big relief. I mean, although the stuff that's going on,
I feel like they just hate each other.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, they can't do anything about it now. They just got to go play and try to get to a play-in spot, so to a playoff spot. So,
the happiest is right now looking at the Phoenix struggles.
DeAndre Ayton?
No, Frank Vogel.
Oh yeah, him too.
But
yeah.
Who knows? They're not having a great time.
Yeah, so I mean, I would go with Phoenix here if I had to, but I'm just a complete pass for me.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's a spot where I'm going to go with Utah. I want nothing to do with the Suns. I don't mind the over in this game. Suns defensively have not been great recently, but am I nuts for thinking Utah's alive in this game?
No, they've been playing well. I mean,
if Durant ends up not playing, the Suns have problems. But if you want to talk about locker room stuff, I just question what the overall mental focus is of this team. Right now, they're a play-in team.
Yeah, it's either going to go really good or really bad.
Yeah, if Utah actually uses their main guys, I don't think this team's that bad. They've proven time and time again they can't sneak up on you if you're not paying attention. They can score. And Kessler, I like at the rim for protection. So I don't mind the Jazz here getting 8.5. If you want to go Suns 1-10, I don't mind that either. Because you said before they've owned the head-to-head, but they've won all 3 meetings this season by exactly 8 points. So if you want to go Suns 1-10, you can do that as well. But I don't mind Utah keeping this game close. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for, once again, a horrible NBA slate on Friday. But anyway, Alonte, I'll ask you, what are your lock and dog picks for the show?
Yeah, so we'll start off with a lock. Hit the team total last show. We're going to go right back to the well with it. We're going to go San Antonio Spurs, team total over 119.5. You can get it anywhere from minus 115 or below. I think that's fine. I just don't think the point of attack will be able to be stopped by Charlotte, especially if there's no LaMelo. who adds a little bit more pace to them. I think Spurs will be able to score inside and out. Wembanyama should have a big game too. If you want to ladder Wemby to score like 35, 40, I think you should do that. He had 25 whenever Charlotte came to San Antonio. This is without Fox, but I do think that Fox adds another dynamic to obviously it's just not.
I still can't stand this Fox and Chris Paul lineup together. I feel like that's going to be dissolved.
It worked quickly, but it worked on one game, but it worked.
I mean, did it work though? Because they won the game late, but they also blew a 20-point lead.
Yeah, but I think that it had a lot to do with them just being complacent, and a lot of that was during I watched that game thoroughly.
I was sweating at Wemby points. I had 23.5. He finished with 24. I was watching that entire game.
Yeah, so I think it's small. It's just like one game. Now, I guess you can argue it's a tale of two halves because they played excellent in the first half and then choked it away in the second half. But I think against Charlotte, they shouldn't have an issue. Obviously not much travel, so they had a few days off. So I think they'll be fully rested, ready to go. So over 119.5 for San Antonio, and we'll go for the lock. We'll go to your neck of the woods and take Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn's live to win this game. They've covered 3 of the last 5. They're playing decently well, low scoring game, low possessions, usually lean towards the underdog. I'll take Brooklyn to kind of get it done. Miami should be relieved as well with Jimmy Butler stuff being out of the way.
They got to go Hall out of it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so and they got that first round pick too. So, but I think
I can't believe they got that much for Jimmy Butler. But whatever.
Yeah, but I like Brooklyn in this spot. I think they'll be live to win it. So let's go with Brooklyn for the dog.
All right, so for my lock, you know what? I'll go with the last game, actually. Give me Utah plus the 8.5. They've covered this line 3 times in a row against the Suns this season. The Suns are in complete disarray. They were trying to trade Durant, so they might not even play Durant in this game. Who knows? Because he sat the last game with an injury. I'll put quotes around it. I don't know if he's going to suit up or not. But this team hates just playing with each other. At this point, from what I've gathered, the locker room's toxic, and they really just have a lot of bad stories coming out about them. But I'll go with Utah. I think they played pretty well lately. They're relatively healthy for this game. That counts for something. 8.5's a lot for a Suns team that doesn't really play much defense and that seems to really can't stand playing with each other. So give me Utah plus the 8.5, and that spread's too high as my lock. For my dog, I'll go with Dame. I'll go with the over 9.5 assists at plus 220. I think it's a great price. He had 12 last game against Charlotte. I think Giannis might not play in this game, so we'll see. But he had 9 assists the game prior against Memphis, so even if Giannis does play, I think he can once again find a way over. But if Giannis does not play, he's got a great chance. Atlanta's allowed 125 plus in 4 straight. They can't stop anybody. I think that it's a great price for Dame. I like his default assists at 7.5. So why not? Give me 10 assists at plus 220 as my dog. Anyway, time for the underdog lineup for the actual slate. I'm going to use Lillard at 7.5 assists to start. You have anything else you want to add?
Let's go Wemby higher points.
Okay, so Wemby for his points
should be like 24.5
card. It's either 24.5 or 25.5. It's 25.5.
That's fine.
Okay, so we got 25.5 for Wemby, and then is there anything else you want to throw in there?
I like Booker's.
You want like Fox assists or something?
I do like Fox assists.
We can pair that with Wemby points.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So Fox assists in this game, he had, I believe it was 13 against the Hawks last game. He's at 7.5.
Oh yeah, that's low.
So I don't mind that. Okay, so once again, our 3 choices for the underdog entry, we're going to do Wemby higher, 25.5 points, Fox higher, 7.5 assists, and we'll also throw in Lillard higher, 7.5 assists. So reminder, when you do go to Underdog, use the promo code NBSGPN for the promo that we end up having there. Once again, just an overall great deal for Underdog, so you can do that. I also realized, did I forget to do the ad read?
No, I think you did.
I did the Underdog read?
I thought so. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know.
Did I?
I don't know.
I don't think I did. I just went from the Jazz game directly into the locker.
Oh yeah, well that's fine. You might be right.
I think I accidentally skipped the ad read, so hopefully nobody pays attention to that. But we are brought to you by Edge Boost, because SGPN's partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, and casino. A reminder, you can also earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards, and you could also get a lot of great deals because there are no credit checks and it's completely free. You can also sign up today. Use the promo code SGPN so you get better cashback rewards and instant tier 2 status. EdgeBoost.bet, promo code SGPN. Once again, promo code SGPN at EdgeBoost.bet. We're also brought to you by Underdog. The big game is coming to you on Sunday, and Underdog has you covered. New customers have a great promo. Get a free Travis Kelce pick if they sign up before the big game. And a reminder, Underdogs also have a site-wide no sweat entry token, which is now live. You can earn up to bonus credits in return if you end up losing an entry with your no sweat token. And a reminder for the upcoming game, I am going to go with Jalen Hurts higher half a touchdown with a tush push. But a reminder, we have the Underdog entry we just gave out on the show. So you can also use that for your sweat free token. A reminder though, when you do enter the actual site, you can sign up for a new account. When you do, use the promo code MBSGPN. So especially for first time deposit offer to 1K bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code MBASGPN. Anyway, so once again, the entry will be Fox higher assists. We'll go with Lillard higher assists, and we'll also go with Wemby higher on his points. That's going to wrap it up for this week on the NBA Gambling Podcast. Back once again on Monday with Munaf and I. Lonte, anything else you want to add before we officially end the show?
That's it, man. Everybody have a good weekend. Hope you have a good weekend as well, Scott.
Yep. Once again, hopefully you do enjoy the games today. Hopefully make some money. Same thing with the weekend. But until next time, enjoy the Super Bowl. Good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.